Metalheads, and welcome to episode 34 of the Harsh Vocals Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Corbett, and with me is my good friend, Christian Renner. How are you today, man?
Pretty good. Just went to a show last night, so still buzzing a little bit. You know how you get that little bit of a buzz after going to a show?
Definitely. You went to Chaos and Carnage, correct?
Yep. First time I ever saw Cradle of Filth, and super impressive. Great band live. I had never really given them the time of day. I've listened to plenty of albums through the years, but I never really felt the urge to see them live. But lately, especially off of the strength of their latest album, I had to go see it. Plus, I mean, that lineup was super strong with Neobliviscaris and Flesh God Apocalypse. And, I'm not a big Dying Fetus fan, but Dying Fetus, Undeath crushed.
I actually saw the same
Corpse
tour
Pile.
a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it was Corpse Pile was the opener, then Vomit Forth, Undeath, then Flesh God, Neobliviscaris, Cradle of Filth, and then Dying Fetus. It was kind of weird because I paid for seats, which I never do. I always just, do standing room. But since it was like a 8 or 9 hour long show, I was like, yeah, it's worth $20 to sit down. Why not?
Yeah.
And luckily I got balcony seats. So I was right on the left-hand side, front row. I could see everything. So it was kind of awesome to be there. And even more lucky, I didn't have anybody around me. So I had leg room and nobody bothering me or talking to me. So it was very, very nice. And all the bands did a killer job. I came in when Corpse Pile was about 3/4 through their set. So I only saw the last 2 songs, but they were great what I saw. Vomit Forth was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed their last album. They put on a great show, very full of energy. Their guitarist was like doing backflips and shit when I saw him. I don't know if he was that energetic when you did, but he was going crazy. And then Undeath, man, they were like the band that I was most excited about seeing because I love More Insane so much. Like their last album was one of my favorites of last year. I've gone back to it so many times this year. So finally seeing them live was really cool. And then Neobliviscaris is one of those bands that's like hit or miss for me. I like some of the songs. Some of their songs are a little too flowery and whatnot, but live they were exceptional.
Live, like on the record, I've never been a huge Neobliviscaris fan. I do like them because they have a lot of those same elements that Opeth has. Super clean, super flowery, and how they blend everything together. Plus, they also do the long song thing, too.
Right.
I think they only played like six songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, the live, holy shit, that translates really well.
It really does.
And their albums translate way better on vinyl than they do digital.
Yeah, I could believe
digital,
that.
It starts to become a little bit tedious, but I don't know. It's just a completely different feeling when you're listening to a vinyl album than when you're listening to digital.
Well, it's cool watching them perform because their guitarist is obviously just a maestro. Everything he was doing was so cool, and he was involved front and center on every single song. Their main vocalist, who does the cleans, who also plays violin, he was doing a lot of like transitions between violin and singing, and he was dancing on stage and just very fun to watch. And then their harsh vocalist, for my show at least, he would come out, he would sing his part, and then he would disappear off stage again until he was needed again. And so like every single song he would appear, sing for like a minute and a half, and then vanish. It's kind of weird to watch, but it was interesting because every single time he came out, he walked out with his arms raised, like I'm back, I'm returning, and then he would sing and then vanish. So I don't know if the experience was quite the same for you.
I don't know. Maybe he's dealing with a little bit of IBS, and it's like, hey, look at me, I'm fucking crushing it. It's like, bubble gut.
I know our songs are 8 minutes long, so I've got time. I'll be back.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but they were really good. Flesh God, what super impressed me is they're seriously touring with a baby grand piano. Like, what the fuck? Like, you can make just regular keyboards sound like a piano.
They have
like,
a whole...
Fuck that, we got a whole piano.
They have a whole stage show. I mean, the way they opened was so cool with, starting with the opera and then blend, they have their operatic singer touring with them and then breaking right into the extreme metal after that. But the pianist and the drummer were hilarious throughout. I mean, there's so much chemistry in that band and so much comedy that they've kind of scripted into their show. For an ultra serious band like them, to see them doing so many funny things on stage, it really added something to it. And they were a lot of fun to watch. I was very impressed by them. I mean, their albums, they're, again, hit or miss for me. Like, I like some of them. Others I'm not the biggest fan of, but I do generally like symphonic black and death metal. So live, they were exceptional. I thought they put on a great performance. And then for my show, at least, they closed out with their cover of Blue. I don't know if they did that for you as well.
Yeah, they did the same. I mean, it was kind of funny because the piano players, he sits down and he just starts playing the intro to Blue. And everybody knows exactly what it is. Even if you're a metal fan, you've heard that song. It's kind of hard not to have heard that song. And he's just playing it, and the crowd kind of gets very slightly hyped up. And then the singer came out and he's like, you know what? I don't know. And then the piano player stops, and then he's like, I don't know if we're going to do that. He's like, y'all want to hear it? And the crowd's like, oh, yeah. And then they just break it. You knew damn well they were going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But so it was still interesting. Not a big fan of that song. And
I will say it's better live than on the album, especially when the energy in the room's so high. Like everybody at my show, at least, was like extremely into it.
Yeah, everybody was into it. And I mean, when I first heard it, like you, on the album, I was kind of like, what the fuck? Like, if there's a song you're going to cover, why make it that one? But hey, the crowd was super into it, way more into it than me. But hey, to each their own. So.
Yeah, and then after Flesh God, Cradle came out. And as you mentioned, Danny always puts on an incredible show. I liked that they played a couple of older tracks. They played Her Ghost in the Fog, and then I'd heard on some of the sets they were doing some stuff from Damnation in a Day, and on other sets they were doing Midian songs. And apparently at every single show they went to, they had a different person come out and do the narration part. Did you have a guy come out and do the narration on yours?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I didn't see somebody come out. But like you're saying, they played songs off of Midian, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, no, they played a pretty good range of stuff. I mean, it was a lot of stuff from Cryptoriana and forward, but they did play some older stuff, which I thought was great too, and they were just killer live. It's my third time seeing them, but I think it was the tightest performance I've seen from them. They were really on top of it. And then Dying Fetus. Oh, go ahead.
One good thing about the venue that I was at, Valor Ballroom, I don't know what exactly they've done, but holy fuck, the sound was pitch fucking perfect. I don't think I've heard sound that good live in a very long fucking time. And I've been to shows there before where it was not. So
right.
I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if it's this tour's
They're probably bringing their own sound engineers with them because it's a pretty big tour with a lot of big names on it. So I'm sure they have their own people that are making it sound as good as it possibly can. But I'll agree.
It was
at my show,
good.
It sounded great too.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, even the ultra heavy death metal, like from Corpse Pile and stuff, even that sounded perfect. So yeah, props. Great sound.
And then after Cradle was Dying Fetus, which I've never been the biggest Dying Fetus fan. There's a couple songs here and there that I've enjoyed, but in general, that style of death metal is very hard for me to gel with. But performance-wise, man, they were killer. I mean, for a three-piece band to be that tight and sound that massive, it was awe-inspiring, to be honest. The two different vocal stylings work really well in a live performance. The drummer was absolutely phenomenal. Some of those songs are just crazy, and the fact that he was able to keep that tempo and everything is just super impressive. I actually thoroughly enjoyed the Dying Fetus set, and I've gone back and revisited several of their more recent albums after watching that set and found that I like them a lot more than I did when I first heard them years ago. So there's something to be said for seeing bands live and kind of understanding more about what the band's about. Did you see any of their set at all, or did you just leave after Cradle?
I stuck around for, I think, 3 songs, and then I was like, I'm good. And
it's a long day.
I was fucking tired by that point. I'd been there since 3 o'clock, and at this point it's like 10:30, 10:45, and I was just like, you know what, I'm fucking tired. I'm good. I've already spent way too much money here. The crazy thing is, I usually don't buy hoodies at shows because they're usually crazy expensive. They're $60 for a hoodie, I think, is a little outrageous. But it was so fucking cold in there. And outside, it was like 75, 80 degrees. And I step inside and holy shit, it was freezing in there. I mean, when you see the merch people wearing long sleeves and hoodies and shit, you know it's fucking cold. And I really tried. And the bad thing is, they did not allow you to leave after you came in. Mm-hmm. So you could not go back out to the car. They had a smoking section, but I'm not Jesus, that's even worse. It being hot and surrounded by smoke.
Yeah.
No thanks. So I was like, fuck, I'm cold. Fuck, I'm cold. And I was like, well, maybe if I get into the crowd a little bit more. And, well, no, that didn't really work either. So I was like, after the first two bands, I was like, you know what, fuck this. And I went over to the Cradle of Filth booth and bought a zip-up hoodie, which I paid too damn much for. But, yeah, it was just too cold there. So I bought merch that I wasn't planning on.
Sometimes you got to. I mean, even at Hell's Heroes earlier this year, I bought a hat. You bought a hat. Like the sun was bearing down on us. I mean, it's nice to have things work out all the time, but sometimes you just got to make yourself more comfortable, even at the expensive prices.
Well, plus it's way better going to shows now where, you know, in my early 20s where, you know, I have a very limited budget. And if I'm buying just one shirt, that's all I got money for. Mm-hmm. So I remember in my early days sleeping in this is going to sound weird. I was sleeping in a train station locker because we missed the last train and the next train wasn't due to leave for like 8 hours or whatever. And it was cold in there too. And the waiting area was completely packed. I mean, there's people laying on the floor in there. And so I was like, well, I saw a fucking just a locker where you would put large pieces of luggage. And I paid however much it cost to open one up, and I actually crawled in there. So,
it's not a bad idea. It would retain some of your body heat, so...
It was the only option. And now, if something like that happens, I've been to shows where I like drove down to Kansas City or Lincoln or something like that, and I'd planned to drive back, but you're just so fucking tired, and fuck it, I'll just get a hotel room. And... that would never have been an option in my 20s.
Right.
So.
Yeah, there were times when I would travel for stuff and I would sleep in my car or sleep on the pavement outside of the establishment I was waiting for it to open up. I mean, when you're young, you just don't care.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've been in rest areas and passed out in my car. And like, if you think about how dangerous that is now, it's like, well, that was probably not very bright. It was the only car in that entire fucking rest stop. And I was, not my best idea, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
It definitely gets better as you get older. That's for sure. All right. Well, Chaos and Carnage was a lot of fun. If you guys have a chance to check it out in your neck of the woods before the tour ends, I highly recommend it. It was definitely worth the money. Other than that, I say let's move on and start talking about this past cycle's amazing albums. So... First up is yours.
All right. We have the band Amalekim. I'm assuming that's how you say it. Their album Sheer Hasharim. We got black metal from a combination of Italy and Poland. It didn't give a town name. So, hey, thanks for that. So I don't butcher your town name. Hey. The track that I picked was Chant number 6, Tisha Daltot. This one here just does a great job of highlighting the variety and the emotion in the vocals. It really comes through on this track. You got a guy named Ozgal who does bass and backing vocals and is apparently a very busy young man. He is the only member that is also in a ton of other bands. They have a bunch of other people in the band, but they're only in this one for the most part, including the band you picked just a few episodes ago called Morkalok. Which was a pick for you on episode 32. I actually wrote it down. I have to add this as it could be the greatest band name ever. He's in a band called I Hate When Elevators' Doors Open Up and a Raptor Appears in Front of Me. That is the full title of the band.
Must be a metalcore band.
This is definitely not easily going to fit on a t-shirt. Just throwing that out there. Good luck with that. But getting back to this album, I really enjoyed this band's 2023 album as well.
Avodazara?
It was called, Avodazara.
Me too.
But this album is certainly a step up in quality overall. The emotion on this album just feels visceral. It's very in your face. I mean, he sounds definitely fucking pain. Just another example of what makes black metal the best genre right now.
Yeah.
Because this here was my lowest pick. And I hate saying that because all these albums that we pick for the show are fantastic. They're really good. This here just happens to be my
Third
least
best.
favorite of the best.
It's third best. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. I mean, we have to do them in a ranking order. It's just the nature of doing a show like this. But you're right. This past cycle was another really strong one. There was a ton of good albums. You and I both have about 10 honorable mentions, and none of them are the same.
Yep.
So, yeah, no shade thrown towards Amalekim. This album's fantastic, and I loved it too. I mean, if you hadn't picked it, it might have been a pick for me. Doing a little bit more research, Shir Hashrim actually means the Song of Solomon. And so the Song of Solomon in the Bible, or in biblical terms, are stories about love and loss between a man and a woman, typically. So I don't know enough about the language they're singing in this to be able to decipher exactly what the songs are about, but the emotion definitely comes through. And I can kind of see that this might be about love and loss from beginning to end. They always do that naming convention where they call them chants, at least on their albums, where each song is like chant 1 through chant 8 with a subtitle as well. So it almost works like a chapter book, like you're reading a story about two people. So it's very interesting. Lots and lots of raw emotion, lots of great melodies. I'm a huge fan of Amalekim. If you've never checked them out, I think you guys are going to dig this. And definitely go back and check out Avoda Zara as well, because that's an exceptional album as well.
Yep, definitely.
All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Amalekim off of Shir Hashirim, and the song that Christian picked is Chant 6, Tisha Daltot. Enjoy.
Man, talk about some pained vocals.
Yeah, I really like how it kind of fades out too. The ending of that, it obviously blurs into the next song. All of them kind of flow together, but it's just a really like subtle ending to that track. It's good. I really like it. I mean, you could have picked any track on this album. I think it would have been a good example of what the band's trying to do.
Yeah, and again, unfortunately, not available on vinyl. So
I'm sure it will be because of Vodazara was, because I actually own that one on vinyl. So it might just be something where it's delayed for processing reasons or whatever, but I'm sure eventually we'll get a vinyl of this one.
Yep.
All right, well, moving on. The next pick is one of mine, and this is the band Coffin Feeder. They put out an album called Big Trouble. This is their debut album since 2021. It's really kind of fun death metal / deathcore from Belgium. The vocalist is actually the same vocalist from Aborted, so this is a side project for him. And thematically, every single song on this album is either about serial killers or 80s movies or 90s movies, action movies primarily. Big Trouble didn't give it away. The first couple tracks are about Big Trouble in Little China, which is one of my favorites. This thing's full of like cheesy 80s and 90s themed songs like Get to the Party and Love at First Death. I mean, it really feels kind of like they took a lot of the great moments, and they obviously sampled a lot of moments from movies and put them into the songs as well, that really just make it feel different and unique. They're not trying to be serious at all. This is all very tongue-in-cheek. We love this, and we're just putting it out there kind of thing. It does have some deathcore influences, and I've seen some review sites categorize this as deathcore. There's some breakdowns here and there, but they're all really diverse and well done. And the death metal stuff is more at the forefront than the deathcore, I think. I couldn't get enough of this album. I'm still listening to it somewhat regularly. It's just very fun from beginning to end, and definitely worthy of a pick, I think. What did you think of this one,
Yeah,
Christian?
it was very high up on for me too. To me, it sounds like if you ran cattle decapitation through a deathcore filter, almost like, just because I saw the same thing where a lot of people are calling this deathcore, and I think there's touches of it.
Yeah, there's definitely breakdowns of some of the songs, but it's not.
This
it's
is
not
way
all of it.
closer to. Yeah, it's way closer to cattle decapitation than it is a deathcore band. So, take that for what you will. But this here is. It just struck me as one of those easy reach albums. Like, you could just throw this on whenever, no matter what you're doing, and you're going to enjoy it. It's not a mood album or anything like that. This is just a fun album. Again, that fun death metal I'm here for that. Let's
More, please.
let's make. That's a much better slogan. Let's make death metal fun again.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Coffin Feeder off of their album Big Trouble, and the track that I picked is called Love at First Death. So, hope you guys enjoy it. such a fun song. And I picked this one because I feel like it is probably the most accessible song on the album.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's some songs that are way more deathcore-y, some songs that are way more death metal. This one is kind of in the middle. It does have a little bit of that sampling I was talking about right in the very middle of it. It feels like something that was translated from an 80s movie. So I just love it. I love all of it. Definitely check this out. All right, so moving on. Next is a band that Christian and I both love and have for a couple years now, Labyrinthus Stellarum.
And I'm kind of surprised that they're back so quickly with a new album.
With such a leap in quality, too. I mean, I loved their last album. It was top 15 for me last year, and it was one that I listened to all the time. And this one is even better, in my opinion.
Yeah. We have Labyrinthus Stellarum. The album is called Rift in Reality. We got atmospheric black metal from Odessa, Ukraine. The track that I picked is Cosmic Plague. If you're good with this song, you will more than likely like the album as a whole. This here has everything that they do on this album all in one song. And I will freely admit, this is not a band for everyone. Not everyone is going to like this. They're definitely out there, and they're doing something no one else is really doing in adding moments of electronic music into their atmospheric black metal. I didn't care for this band as much when I first heard them, but in repeated listens, it kind of worms its way into your consciousness without... You don't physically think about it, but next thing you know, you're thinking about that song. And all of a sudden, the reservations that you had, they simply fade away and you just start to enjoy it. And I actually like this album more than I did the album from last year, but not drastically so. It's kind of weird. And
they have a different
as I've
vibe.
gone on...
Like the one from last year is very, like, almost peaceful in a way. Like, it's a very good, easy listening album to relax with. This one has a lot more aggression on it than that one did. Mm-hmm. It's still kind of the same sounds. It's a lot of that cosmic, spacey, electronic music mixed with the atmosphere building and the black metal vocals. And I love that formula, regardless of how it's put together. But this one feels a lot more aggressive, especially in the track you picked.
Yeah. One thing that I was very surprised by is there's only 2 members in this band, both with the last name Andronaut Alexander, who is age 24, and Misha, who is age 17, which I was like, what the fuck?
Well,
really?
he's 19. He's 19 now. He was 17 when they wrote the last album. I think Metallum just hasn't updated it yet. But yeah, they're both very young for being as talented as they are. Because we talked about this when we discussed the last album on the show.
Yeah, it was just, for them to be that young and they're kicking out music this good already, holy shit. The sky's the limit, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic band. And like I said, not for everybody. So if you listen to this song and you don't really care for it, I can almost guarantee you're not going to like the rest of the album either.
But if you like this and you didn't really care for their last album, I would say give this one a chance because the aggression adds a new element to it that wasn't really in place in the last one. And you might end up liking it more if you're a black metal fan. So let's go and play the track. Again, this is Labyrinthus Stellarum off their new album, Rift in Reality. And the track that we're going to play is called Cosmic Plague. God, that's so good. This is one of those. Yeah. This is one of those that it's like you hear one song and you just want to go and listen to the whole thing again. So I will probably do that after the show. All right. So moving on to my next pick, and this one was very hard for me to make actually because my first pick and my second pick were neck and neck. I ended up choosing one over the other just because of the amount of time that I spent with each album. But honestly, if that album is the best album of this 2 weeks, this album is easily the second. And I think Christian would agree that this is the case because he liked both these albums as much as I did. So the band is called Dispyt, Dispyt. The album is called Fran Melancholy till Meningsløshet, which I hope I pronounced that correctly, but the translation of that is from melancholy to meaninglessness. It's black and death metal with a little bit of crust punk mixed in from Finland, and this is their third full-length album since 2015. It has the both guitarists from the band Onfot, which I'm also a big fan of. One of the guitarists from Void of Hope, which they released an album last year that I absolutely loved. And then the bassist of And Oceans, which is another huge black metal band that I'm a huge fan of. And Fintroll, which I'm take or leave on Fintroll, but the good stuff is good. This album is fun and aggressive and unique sounding and full of melody. And it has all those crust elements that like Wormwitch used to kind of incorporate that I loved in their earlier stuff. It's almost like this is a Finnish reinvention of Wormwitch. It's kind of what I'm thinking of it as. But I absolutely love this. I've spun this album so many times. I bought it on vinyl. I couldn't get enough of it. And there's only one album that I thought was even slightly better. If you like melodic black metal that has a lot of sharp edginess to it, you're going to love this. Christian, what do you have to say about it?
Oh, I was a big fan of this. I mean, in my notes, I just wrote, wow, just fucking wow. This is a crushing album that never once lets up. About the only negative thing I can say about this album is it's only 24 minutes long. So, I mean, I've had EPs that were longer, but like it definitely is over before you know it, but it never once lets up. There isn't any slow moments anywhere on this album. It just really goes for it from start to finish. And this band being completely new to me, they have 3 other albums. So
right. Did you get a chance to check any of those out?
I checked the one right before this. It's not as good as this, but I would have been surprised if it was. But it's not far off either. They definitely have a style, and they're sticking to it. But yeah, they're just... This is a band full of very talented musicians. You know, all the bands that you just mentioned are very good. Yeah. I think they come together and they kick out a kick-ass album, and then they go back to their other bands, I guess. And it's kind of funny that right before we started, Onfot is actually having a listening party right now for their new album.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so if we weren't doing this right now, I'd actually be listening to that.
Well, I'm excited for that, too. I didn't even realize they had a new album coming out, but that's good to know. But let's go ahead and play the track from Dispyt. Again, the name of the album is Fran Melancholy till Meningsløshet, and the track that I picked is the title track. And I did that so I didn't have to say 2 different crazy names. So, hope you guys enjoy this. God, it's good. And it honestly might be the best track on the album,
really good.
Which is why they picked that title track. I honestly could have picked any song, though, and they're all excellent. So if you enjoyed that, definitely check this out. Like I said, they do have vinyls available in their Bandcamp. There's only like 250 of them made, so I don't know how many are still left, but there should be some. It's a great album. Just killer.
Yep.
So moving on, the next pick is Christians, and this is the band Misfire.
We have the band Misfire. The album is called Product of the Environment, and this is just fucking thrash. This is Bay Area thrash from Chicago, Illinois. The track that I picked was Left for Dead. And the main reason I just love this is I just love how the drums are just riding that hi-hat until it kicks in with the main riff. That I just love when thrash bands do that. Could very well be the best thrash album of the year so far for me. Killer riffs, and the riffs with the transitions on every single song. Absolutely love a thrash album where the drums almost highlight what the guitars are doing with the riffs, and this album is a masterclass in how to do that. The drums aren't overpowering the song, which some drummers have a tendency to do that. There's certain drummers that just, they stay in that pocket. It isn't overly technical, but it's just sounds perfect for thrash. There's a lot of early Exodus influence in this, but fully remaining its own thing. It's not a clone, but they use a lot of the same song structures and stuff. And if anyone knows me, thrash is my favorite in basically all its forms, but this right here is 1,000% in my wheelhouse. Just everything about this just works for me. It may not work for everybody because it isn't the super, aggressive thrash. It's way more in that groove. Like the first couple of Exodus albums, Pleasures of the Flesh, and can't remember the name of the first one. But yeah, this here is just a great album. I absolutely love this album. I know it didn't hit for you. I'm not really that surprised, but
I went back and listened to it. I did give it another chance, and I liked it better on the second go through, but it's still just not. It's just not in my wheelhouse the same way it is for you. Like with thrash, I'm very picky, and out of the 100 thrash albums we've heard so far this year, I really only liked like 3 of them. So, thrash is very, very hit or miss for me. And this one, it's more miss than hit. Like, I like the music. I'm not a huge fan of the style of vocals. And then certain elements of the songs are just not gelling with me. And I can't really put it into words why. But, I'm glad you love it. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
We let, friend of the show, Mike Lawrence, listen to this, and he was a big fan of it as well. So it's definitely in that cleaner thrash realm. It's not as aggressive as European thrash. I wouldn't even say it's really as aggressive as a lot of the Bay Area stuff. It's a lot cleaner. If you know an old band from Germany called Paradox, they're very similar to that. Great riffs, a little bit on the cleaner side for the vocals, but I mean, you'll hear it in this track. If you like this track, you will like this whole album.
Yeah, I do feel like this is a really good example track from the album because it does illustrate everything the band's about. And you're not alone either. Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of people talking about this online. Some people even calling it like thrash metal album of the year and things like that. So it's for the people that like this style of thrash, it's definitely hitting home runs. For me, just didn't hit my personal taste, but hopefully somebody out there enjoys it. So let's go ahead and play the track. And if you like it, check out the whole album. Again, this is Misfire off of their album Product of the Environment, and the track is Left for Dead.
Take
What a riff. There you go. I mean, when that riff kicks in after that, with the drums just following it, it just like, oh yeah. You're just doing the stank face. You're just like, fuck yeah. I love that. Fucking love it.
Hopefully our listeners do too. So moving on, this is our final pick for the episode and my favorite of the album of the past 2 weeks. Definitely one of Christian's favorite albums as well, because we talked about it a lot. This is a band called Kogis. They put out an album called Among the Dead, How to Become a Ghost. This is black and death metal from London. It's their second full-length album since 2015. Kogis actually means witches in Sardinian, and they're currently an unsigned band. So this is easily one of the best black and death metal albums to come out so far this year, if not the best. There's a lot of competition in that particular subgenre this year, so really hard to pin down exactly where to land, but it's definitely high up there. The songs are full of melody and haunting kind of changes. You never really know what to expect because each song is its own little microcosm of changes and different storytelling. And I like that they titled the album How to Become a Ghost, because it almost reads like an instructional manual kind of, except that the final track, which is the one where you actually learn how to become a ghost, is not in English. The rest of the album is. So it's kind of interesting that I'll never know. Like, somebody needs to reach out that can speak that language and tell me, how do I become a ghost? Because that sounds cool. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I was a big fan of this as well. This album for me, it just kept getting stronger. When you first heard it, it was one of those albums that you instantly love when you first hear it. You're like, oh, fuck, this is good. And it kept getting stronger as you went along. And then it gets even stronger with subsequent listens. By listen 4 or 5, I was like, fuck, this is the best album of the week. Hands down. And then a couple more listens, you're like, fuck, this is the best album of 2 weeks. So, yeah, I think you and I are in lockstep on this. This is the best album to come out in this 2-week stretch. It's really not even close. And I mean, if I had to describe their sound a little bit, I would say, Iwata mixed with a little bit of Immortal and just a touch of 1349. You mix all those together, I think you get kind of close. I think there's a little bit more death in there.
Definitely more death in there than those. But I don't know what I would say as if we're fans of. I mean, if you like black and death metal, it's almost like a slightly less melodic in places, but more aggressive, necrophobic in places.
I can see that.
But Iwata, I can kind of hear. 1349, I can kind of hear in places. It's kind of a hard band to pin down, which is great because it makes them unique. Yeah. Their sound's not like anything else, and they're a relatively small band too. I reached out to them about vinyl possibilities, and they said that they're small musicians at the time. They can't afford to do it, so there probably won't be a vinyl release, unfortunately. But man, I wish there was. I would love to own this on vinyl.
Yep. It's a super strong album, and I mean the main thing that I put Immortal in there for was these songs are also fun, and you get some of that,
there's elements of groove in there that you kind of hear. I agree with that, but it's not at the forefront. I mean, I don't want people to misconstrue what you're saying and think that it sounds like that, because it really doesn't. It's very different. And the track that I picked is Autopsy of An Hollow, which this is one of my favorite songs on the album, but they're all just top tier. I feel like this is a good one because it's right in the middle and it bridges the gap between, like, some of the later tracks are based on like death and going to the underworld, and like you meet Charon, and like there's a lot of really cool storytelling elements in the songs as well. It's not just musically we're talking about. The lyrics actually matter here too. And this one's kind of right in the middle and bridges like the first act of the story and the second act of the story. And it's just excellent. I loved it. I don't know if I'm doing a good job of explaining how I feel about it, but hopefully the music can speak for itself.
I think it will. This is a very strong album, and the song you picked that's probably the song I would have picked as well.
All right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and play it then. Again, this is Kogis, Cogas, off of their album Among the Dead, How to Become a Ghost, and the track is Autopsy of An Hollow. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Of
Such
All
a
right.
good album.
Yeah,
Such a good
I absolutely
album.
love it. And if you like that song, you're going to like the whole album. So 100% check it out. I think this one slipped under a lot of people's radars, and it shouldn't have, because come end of year, this is going to be very high up for me, I'm sure. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our honorable mentions. I'll let you go through first, Kristen.
All right. My honorable mentions start out with the band Art Nation. The album is called The Ascendants. We have heavy metal hard rock from Gothenburg, Sweden. This is the fifth album for this band from Frontiers Records. They have a lot of the more melodic stuff on there. If you like bands like Eclipse or Crown with an E, or even the old band Pretty Maids, you're going to dig this. Then I came across Beholder in the Temple of the Tyrant. This is going to sound kind of weird, but this here's almost like a little bit of doom metal mixed with power metal. Now, that really shouldn't work, but it does on this. This is on Black Lion Records, which is another fantastic record label. And if you like stuff like Solitude Eternus, Grand Magus, but then mix in some Visigoth, this year's going to be kind of what you're going to get. It's definitely an interesting album, so if that sounds interesting at all, check it out. Then I came across a band called Bark. The album is called The Time Has Come. We have groove mixed with some death and roll from Antwerp, Belgium. They're on Listenable Records. If you like bands like Exhorter or the better parts of Machine Head, Machine Head's kind of hit or miss with me, but there are certain things that I do like from them, the more aggressive stuff. And then throw in just a splash of Corrosion of Conformity. You're going to get very close to their sound, although it's more fun. This is a very fun album. Then I came across Game Over, Face the End. We have thrash metal from Ferrara, Italy. They're on Scarlet Records. And if you like bands like Annihilator, Heathen, or Artillery, you're going to dig this. I don't think it was as strong all the way through, but, your mileage may vary. Then we got Heat, and it's Heat, H.E.A.T. Welcome to the Future. Yep. This is heavy metal hard rock from Sweden. I think it said Uplands, Sweden. If you like anything 80s radio-friendly metal rock, Europe, Def Leppard, MSG, but with just slightly more technical ability, these songs are more technically complicated than some of these songs were from the 80s, but it's still very grounded in that 80s heavy hard rock sound. Venator, Psychodrome. We have traditional metal from Linz, Austria. I love this band. I was a big fan of their last album. They're on Dying Victims Productions. If you like Judas Priest, Traveler, or Riot 5, you're going to like Venator. They have that very traditional sound. I mean, it's another band that would be absolutely perfect for Hell's Heroes. Then another thrash band, Psychosis, their album Mind Games. Like I said, thrash from Dublin, Ireland. These guys are unsigned. If you like Nuclear Assault especially, Violence, Hyrax, this was very close to being a pick. I just felt like I couldn't have two thrash albums. And I will freely admit, not everybody is going to be a fan of the Nuclear Assault style vocals. He does have that kind of screech. So if you don't like Nuclear Assault, you are probably not going to like this. But if you do, you will love this. Then we have Leper Colony, Those of the Morbid. We have Death Thrash from Germany. It didn't say where in Germany, it just said Germany. They're on Testimony Records, and if you like bands like Skeletal Remains, Asphyx, or Atheist, you're going to definitely find something to like here.
I liked that album too.
They remind me a lot of Skeletal Remains, man. Like, they're way more aggressive than Atheist, but it does have a very small touch of that. Then finally, Palantir or Palantyr. It's Palantyr. And I will freely admit this is not going to be for everybody. The album is called The Ascent and the Hunger. This is heavy/speed metal from Thionville, France. They're on Jawbreaker Records. And if you're a fan of any early 80s metal, I swear to God, this sounds like it was straight out of 1983, from the music to the vocals to the production. If you would have told me that this here is just a album that everybody missed from 1983, I would have 100% believed you, because it just seriously sounds like that. It's got the clean vocals that are high pitched. It's got that almost reverb heavy production. The music sounds like it's straight from 1983. This just seriously sounds like an album that was just forgotten about and has resurfaced. I'm not exactly sure if that was the whole point or if this is just where they're going with this, but it just instantly took me back to 14-year-old me. I was just very surprised by it. I know you hated the vocals, which I am not surprised by. I am absolutely not surprised by. They definitely have that very clean, very high pitch. And then
not for me, not at all.
Yeah, if it's got that added with reverb heavy, it's gonna be a hard sell. But if you do like that early '80s sound, there's nothing you're gonna find here that's gonna disappoint you.
All right, is that all you got?
That's all I got.
All right, so moving on to mine. First up is the band Deserted Fear. They put out an album called Veins of Fire. It's death metal from Germany. There's a lot of melody in the death metal, though. This was probably my fourth favorite album of the cycle this time, and it was so close to being a pick as well. It was honestly between this and Coffin Feeder and Labyrinthus, if Christian didn't take it. Those were the ones that were just slightly below Kogus and Dispit, but I've been a fan of Deserted Fear for years, since 2019 when Drowned by Humanity came out. This is actually their sixth full-length album since 2007, and I almost want to call them like a hopscotch band. Like, I like every other one of their albums a lot, and then every other album they try to do something a little bit more experimental, and I don't love it. Their 2022 album, Doomsday, didn't really do much for me, but I love the 2019 album, and I love this year's album. So if you like death metal with a lot of melody, check out Deserted Fear. You'll probably find a lot to like, regardless of which style you prefer from them.
I can't remember what the name of the track is, but track 3, oh, fuck, that was such a great song.
The whole album's fantastic.
I couldn't tell you what.
I listened to it a lot. It's really, really good. Next is an album that honestly surprised me because I didn't expect to like it. Alluviette, or Alluviette. I can never say it right. There's too many I's and E's. Luveittie. They put out an album called A&V. It's folk / melodeath from Switzerland. Their 9th full-length album since 2003. Obviously, they've been around for a really long time. I've heard them many times before this album. Their previous stuff, I didn't really love. This album, however, it kind of caught me. There is a lot of clean singing. There is a lot of like pretty flowery moments, but they're done really well in a way that gels with me. I mean, with that kind of stuff, it's extremely subjective. I mean, all music is, but I'm extremely critical of that in a lot of other bands. I'm critical of it with them too, but it either hits or it doesn't with me. And for some reason, this particular blend of the folk melodies with the death metal kind of stuff really worked well in this particular album, and I liked it a lot. I don't think it's as good as a lot of the stuff we've previously talked about on this episode so far, but if you like folk / melodeath, you'll probably appreciate a lot of this.
I had a hard time with it. But their last album I liked. This one here, I don't know. Maybe I was just in the wrong mood. I tried the album 3 different times, and like on the third time, I cut it off in the middle. I was like, So I don't know. It just didn't work for me.
Timing matters. Yeah. Mood matters. Sometimes with things like this, it's just if it grabs you at the right moment, and it clicks right away, it can make all the difference in the world. Music is so interesting, the way that it gets received by everybody. Yeah. And the same holds true for the next album as well, Kardashev. They put out an album called Alunia, progressive / atmospheric death metal with a little bit of deathcore from Arizona. This is their 3rd full-length album since 2012. Their last album was an album that, Liminal Rights, it was an album that I would listen to once and absolutely love it, and then listen to it again and fucking hate it, and then listen to it again and absolutely love it. And I just kept bouncing like that. I mean, I feel like it was so dependent on what my mood was. This one is a little bit more straightforward. I've kind of liked it since the very beginning. I don't necessarily love every aspect of it. The clean vocals are an acquired taste, I think, which I did the work on the last album maybe to acquire that taste, I guess, because I don't hate it. But it's not typically something that's in my wheelhouse. However, musically and the harsh vocals are phenomenal. And this album has a lot more of the harsh vocals than their previous one did. Honestly, I wish they would just go to a straight harsh vocal formula, or else get somebody else to do like the clean vocals, because the style is not going to be for everybody for sure. But everything else about the album and the band is exceptional. So, I mean, you feel pretty much similarly, right, Christian?
Yeah, they're a super talented band, but like there's certain songs that just don't work. Well, at least they don't work for me. But there's certain songs that absolutely do. So it's very like, I don't know, certain tracks. If the whole album would be like, I think my favorite track on the album was track 5. And if all of them were that way, kind of like what you're saying, I'm not a big fan of the clean singing in this. I hate to say that the guy's not good at it, because he obviously sings better than me, but it's just the style of it.
It's not straightforward clean singing. It's not exactly high pitched. I mean, it doesn't sound like Judas Priest or anything. It's overly melodic. Yeah, that's what it is. It's too pretty. It needs to be pulled back a little bit, I think, to be a little bit more accessible. But it's not bad. And after listening to it on the last album, I've kind of accepted it, I guess. I don't know. Kardashev's a band that is like 80% amazing and 20% could be improved, at least for me. A lot of other people might listen to it and just be blown away. So, I mean, they're kind of like, they fall in that same realm as Neabla Viscaris, kind of fall in that same realm as Alluviette. Like, there's a lot of things I love about it, but there's a few things that keep it from being something I would consider for my end of year list. So,
yeah,
that's kind of where it falls. But it's still a great album, and if you like Kardashev's previous work, you'll love this too. I also thought it was kind of cool that they incorporated a lot of Final Fantasy kind of melodies into some of the songs, because when I was listening to it, I was just hearing that over and over again, like the Midgar theme and like themes from other games. I thought that was really interesting. So you might pick that up too if you're a fan. Next is the band Anoxia. They put out an album called Revel in Sin. This is straightforward death metal from Australia. It's their debut album, but they've been around since 2017. This one kind of got overshadowed by some of the other great stuff this week, especially Coffin Feeder, but it's still a really good, straightforward death metal album. I feel like Australia is just churning out great death metal over the last couple of years. There's been a lot of really good albums that have come out, and I don't know, maybe that's going to be what they're getting known for, at least here. But I would definitely recommend checking this one out if you like straightforward death metal. It's really good, and I feel like it slipped under a lot of people's radars because of all the other releases. Next up is the band Opia. They put out an album called I Welcome Thee Eternal Sleep. This is Gothic / Death / Doom from Spain and the UK. Debut album since 2022. This one may not be for everybody. It's really slow in places, but the melodies are so pretty, and the harder parts are exactly what I want from like a Gothic Death Doom band. It's really good, but it may not be for everybody if you don't like that particular style. Next is a band called A Flock Named Murder. They put out an album called Incendiary Sanctum. This is black / death / post-metal from Canada. Their second full-length album since 2018. So this is one of those albums where there's like 4 songs and every single song is 20-something minutes long. Incredibly dense. Very hard to devote enough time to listening to it. I mean, the first time you hear it, you obviously realize how talented these guys are and how good the tracks are. It's just returning to it enough times to really unlock it in your head. It's just like the Toma Room album we talked about a couple weeks ago. It's something you're going to have to spend a lot of time with to fully appreciate because there's so much going on. It's really good, though. I mean, even on the first listen, you can tell it's really good. It's just an album that's very challenging and requires active listening. So may not be for everybody.
It's one of those that would probably be fantastic on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, because very rarely, if you're listening to vinyl, are you doing other things. And this is one of those albums you have to devote some time to.
Definitely. So moving on, the band Aldaron, Aldaaron, they put out an album called Par de les Crimes. This is pagan black metal from France, their 5th full-length album since 2004. It's a side project of the main guy from Orderly, which you may know. This is really just great, straightforward, atmospheric black metal. I liked it a lot. It's a little bit meandering in some of the songs, as atmospheric black metal tends to do, but nothing bad to say about it. I liked it a lot. There's only like 5 tracks on the album. Each one's pretty long, which does kind of lend itself to that lack of focus or meandering. But it's a good album. If you like that kind of music, you'll like this. And then the last album on my honorable mentions is a band called Woebather. They put out an album called Swallowed by the Chains of Spirit Loss. This is black metal from Houston, of all places. Third full-length album since 2022. It's a solo project of a guy who simply goes by The Hermit. This came out midweek, so it slipped under a lot of people's radars, but once the metal internet got a hold of it, it kind of was everywhere. Everybody was talking about it for the last couple of weeks. It's a really great, aggressive, melodic black metal album, kind of in the vein of Spectral Wound, but with a little bit more lengthy songs. Like, everything seems sort of stretched out, and it's not nearly as well produced, but it's still really good. I mean, every song's 7 minutes long. There's like 5 minutes of Spectral Woundness in there, and like 2 minutes of more ambient kind of stuff built into it. It's excellent, and if you like that kind of music, I think you'll dig it too.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I like that a lot. And like you were saying, it definitely gives you that Spectral Wound vibe, and I'm here for that. I'd be completely okay if Spectral Wound kicked out 3 albums a year. So
yeah, me too. To be honest, they're great. Well, that does it for honorable mentions. I guess let's move on. So our topic for this episode is actually going to be censorship, and Christian has done some research and prepared some stuff to talk about. So I'm going to let him take the lead here, but I have some things to chime in with as well.
All right. This here is going to be kind of a complicated topic to talk about because it's really not a black and white kind of issue. On the surface, it seems like it would be. Are you really, in the PMRC era of the 1980s where they were trying to put, warnings on albums because they were worried about kids getting it? And again, was that super bad? I don't know. It depends kind of how you look at it. To me, being a metal fan, and at that time when the PMRC thing was going on, I was 15 years old, and it was a kind of a big deal. So we were actually watching Senate hearings and shit over this. Mm-hmm. I still remember very clearly when Dee Snider from Twisted Sister went in there and talked. And it was super funny because he just walks in there with a denim jacket with the sleeves ripped off and the super long hair, and everybody was thinking that, oh, he's gonna sound like a retard because he's a metalhead or what. And he was super clear, super concise, talking. One of the things that the PMRC was talking about was their song Under the Blade, and he's talking about, if you read the damn lyrics, just read the lyrics, they're about a surgery. So it's nothing terrible, but these people didn't take it any further. And then again, you had Wasp. They were throwing Wasp up there a lot, and mainly for their song Animal Fuck Like a Beast. And in that case, you're kind of like, all right, well, that's a little over the top. But again, even at that time, I was thinking to myself, well, shouldn't the parents be watching what their kids are into? It shouldn't necessarily be the government telling us what we can and can't listen to or whatever. But you have a little bit of this censorship going everywhere. Movies have suggested ratings on it. PG, parental guidance. R, you shouldn't have kids in an R-rated movie. But then again, who makes this decision? And so this here is, like I said, it's not a black and white kind of issue because it's super hard to talk about this. And what I came up with is some questions. And I figured I would read the questions and then we could talk about it. Like the first question I have is the balance between freedom of expression and harm reduction. How much is that? Should all speech be protected, even if it's offensive or potentially harmful?
Well,
I don't know.
It's a complicated topic. You're definitely right about that. I mean, back then, they were trying to essentially just get labels on kids so parents were aware that there was explicit content so that the parents could make the decision whether to allow their kids to buy it or not. Restricting the sale to minors was a step too far, maybe, but that's an individual's decision to make. But back then, lyrically and thematically, the albums weren't nearly as far extremist as they are today, regardless of what kind of music you're talking about. In hip hop, I mean, you hear about killing cops or bitches and hoes, but you wouldn't hear the extreme nature of things that you hear today. And metal, especially, I mean, Cannibal Corpse was doing some I mean, Cannibal Corpse had probably just started doing stuff around the time that was going on, but death metal was not nearly as like brutal or extreme as it is today by any standards. Black metal, while you may have feelings about religious content, that might be offensive to some, but it wasn't Nazism, and it wasn't, fascism built into the lyrics of the music like a lot of bands put in their music today. And blurring those lines is very complex to navigate, because on one hand, I can understand parents wanting their kids to not be exposed to ideas that are harmful. But on the other hand, like, people need to be able to be exposed to whatever they want to be exposed to so they can make their own decisions about how to live their life. And that's at the core discussion of all censorship, regardless of what media we're talking about. Now, I've never had a problem with MPAA ratings on movies or game ratings or even music having a parental guidance sticker if it has things that some organization has decided is explicit. Because, if I had a 5-year-old kid and they wanted to listen to, brutal death metal or hip hop or something like that, maybe that's not appropriate for them. And a parent should be able to make that decision. But 18's kind of old. I feel like a 16-year-old, 15-year-old, those kids are smart enough to start being exposed to things and learn to be able to make their own decisions. I think the age may be the issue there more so than the actual censorship itself. But if we're talking about modern times and the ability to influence people, it's a whole different discussion. The biggest thing, the thing that's going on right now that I think is easiest to talk about is Kanye West, because he's been in the news for a long time. I fucking hate the guy. I've hated the guy for years. I mean, he's a talentless hack. But beyond that, he's just like a piece of shit, and he continues to prove it on a weekly basis this year. Most recently by releasing a new song called HH, where he glorifies Hitler. And, all the streaming platforms have pretty much taken it down, but even with it being taken down, there's hundreds of videos of presumably normal people listening to it in their car and dancing and singing along and throwing up Heil Hitler signs and wearing Nazi swastikas that they've drawn on their clothes, just singing along to the song because this bumbling idiot Kanye West put it out there. I mean, how insane is that? That's harmful to the world as a whole. And there's tons and tons of impressionable people out there, not even kids, just people in general that are so brainwashed these days and so easily manipulated that whenever you put something like that out into the public zeitgeist, it's going to have an impact. And like, we should be doing everything we can to fight against Nazism and fascism and all that shit these days. It's crazy to me that something like that is even being allowed to be streamed on any platforms. Censorship has to do what it can to protect society as a whole. But who gets to make that decision? I mean, that's always been another one of the big questions. Like, who is justifiable in deciding what should be censored and what shouldn't? And for me, I think fascism and Nazism, that's like where the line has to be. Yeah. Up until that point, anything's cool. I don't care about songs about murder and beheadings and Satan, and that's fine. All that's fine. People can listen to it and take it for what it is. But when you start talking about racially biased hatred and things like that, it's a terrible thing.
Yeah, me being German, the Nazi thing really bugs the shit out of me. I grew up learning all about this. I think I may have mentioned this on the show before, but in Germany from first grade on, you learn about the Holocaust. And we spend, a good month, 6 weeks talking about it from, first grade all the way to the point where you graduate. And it's fucking horrific that people could do this to other people. And just in the sake of, they're different than me. That's just absolutely batshit insane. So that is... Just like you, that is my line. I
didn't say bigotry in general, but I probably should have said bigotry in general is part of the line as well. Because like songs that specifically attack groups of people for their lifestyles or whatever, I mean, that falls just hate speech in general. Like there's no reason for it in music.
Yeah. Or hopefully there aren't people out there getting their information from music, because that would be a terrible thing. Misinformation is pretty rampant kind of everywhere. That the crazy shit that Kanye is doing, and It's so fucking complicated. And like what you were talking about, like who gets to decide what is censored? Is the role of government or corporations, or is it just community standards? Because my idea of what should be censored versus, somebody that goes to church 3 days a week is probably drastically fucking different.
Yeah.
So I don't want them telling me what I can do, especially if they're using some sort of guidebook that's 2,000 years old, even though it's actually only about 600 years old. But whatever. Religion, has its set points. Governments even have their set points. And, how far does it go? So,
the Constitution protects free speech so long as it doesn't incite riots or cause hate speech or be considered as hate speech. And I think that's a pretty good guideline for the country as a whole, at least in the U.S. But as far as localized, you have all these different social media platforms, and yes, it's not correct for Facebook or Meta to censor people for talking about political ideologies, right-leaning or left-leaning, unless they cross into that more broad hate speech category, I think. But that happens all the time. But then you have things like Spotify that are not adding albums to their library because of a variety of censorship issues. I mean, sometimes they don't add albums or bands because of their NSBM affiliations and stuff. And I'm okay with them making that choice because it's their platform and they may not want to promote that. I think they are totally justified to not include those bands. But sometimes the bands that don't show up, it's surprising the reason if you dig into it. Sometimes it's not something that's explicitly hate speech related. Sometimes it's because of contractual things or because payment issues, a lot of variety of stuff. It's not always related to the censorship issue. But I do feel like those organizations, because they are the gatekeepers in those scenarios, they have to be the ones that make that call. I mean, I don't want some organization to come out of the woodwork that's government run that's going to be like some social media monitoring service that makes those decisions for them, right? I would much rather the individual companies make those calls themselves on what's best for their platforms.
So do you see a difference between social media companies moderating content versus the government censoring it?
Yeah, there's a big difference because the government has to abide by the Constitution. I mean, at least prior to this year,
they did. They used to.
But the corporations, they have to abide by that larger piece of legislation as well. But they can also censor based on their own mandates. If they don't want political slander, they can make that part of the rules for their own platform. But there's got to be a line. There's got to be a place where it's clearly defined, I guess, is the biggest thing. It has to be clearly defined what's okay and what's not if you're going to try to censor things.
Well, that actually brings up another question. And we dealt with this because forever we could not put harshvocals.com on Facebook.
We got flagged as spam. They flagged us as spam day one because I tried to promote the website to multiple places on the day that I finally had it created. And it took us over a year to get that undone and finally be able to post. It could have been, we honestly don't know the full reason. It could have been because we were flagged as spam. That's what all the messages I got told us. But it also could have been because of keywords on the website, because we talk about black and death metal. And putting those keywords, they could be misconstrued by an AI crawler or something like that. And that could have been the reason that Facebook didn't allow us to post. I'm not entirely sure. But I've since reworded a lot of things on the site to say extreme metal instead of those specific terms. And I try to be a little bit more cautious about how I tag things for promotion and web crawling kind of stuff. But we weren't doing anything or saying anything that was outside of their community guidelines whatsoever. It's just maybe those terms were, or maybe just the fact that I posted too many times on that first day screwed us over.
Yeah, that was a big issue at the very beginning. And you have one of the things that I get a little bit worried about is when there's censorship in education. And this is starting to happen with our current administration where they're banning books and they're taking books out of libraries. And I think that's a very dangerous move.
It's even worse in Texas. They're starting to require religious curriculum be a part of the schools.
I saw that in Oklahoma too.
It's completely insane. Like, I mean, church and state separation is like also one of the founding principles of the country, and that shouldn't be allowed at the state level, I don't think.
Yeah, because when you start controlling what can be taught, I think that could be a very dangerous thing. And I don't understand why there's like this huge fucking push against DEI or quote unquote woke. Woke just means you think about other people. How is that a bad thing? And you know, how many times you got to say it? It doesn't fucking affect you. So have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. Just let it go. Just leave it alone. And I don't know. Like I said, we certainly aren't going to solve this censorship issue by talking about it on this podcast, but it is very interesting. And I think it's very important, especially like right now with everything that's happening here in the U.S. And the far right is gaining ground. I never understood that. How does anybody ever look at Nazis and go, you know what? That's some good ideas. No, they did not.
It's because it's a slow progression sort of thing. I mean, it's not like Hitler just appeared as he was at the end in the beginning and coerced a bunch of people into following him. It was a slow progression of dumbing down of society and using pop culture to infiltrate those ideas. And we see that happening. I mean, we literally just talked about Kanye. It's like those ideas should be left alone, not resurface, but because certain people in power have not condemned those ideas and allowed people that follow those ideals to support them and basically said quietly, it's okay to be this way. It's just getting more and more blatant, and it's going to continue to get more and more blatant as time goes by. I mean, unfortunately, if the people at the top aren't going to do anything about it, it's unlikely that anything is going to be able to stop it from progressing.
And that's kind of scary all on its own, because if you take a look at what's happened the last 4 months or so, if you take a look at that versus what was going on in Germany in 1933, if you're a fan of history at all, holy shit, there's a lot of similarities. And that's very scary, to be honest. So the censoring, there's a problem with that because they're trying to stop people from talking against it. And that could be a huge fucking problem.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about censorship without talking about politics to some degree. But I mean, at its core, so long as something is not fascist or hate speech related, I think people should be able to listen or view or play or whatever media it is and make their own decisions about it. I don't think that there's any reason to restrict what people can see or do, so long as it's not harming anybody. But there's got to be some kind of line where some things are too far. So I support censorship in the terms of not allowing hate speech to be a thing. But beyond that, I don't think there's really much of a need for it.
Yeah, I don't really want to go on a religious tangent here, but like I've always thought that you shouldn't be taking kids to church until they're about 14 years old. That should be their first introduction to religion, and then you go from there, 14, 15 years old. I feel as though religion is kind of indoctrination up until that point. So, and I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I'm sure other people will have a very different opinion of that. But I would never say you should not be allowed to take your kid to church if you want to take your kid to church.
I grew up in the church. I mean, my parents started taking me when I was like 7 or 8 or something like that. And, you know, for a long time, it was a great place for me because I didn't have a lot of friends in school. I was bullied, but at church I could make new friends and I could have that social aspect of it that was really helpful. And there's a lot of problems with the church as an institution, but there is a lot of positive messages in the Gospels and whatnot too. So, I mean, there were things that I benefited from being there, but I also, when I got to be older, realized that I was using it as a crutch for myself just to deal with all the other problems I had in my life. And obviously when I started thinking more critically as I got older, I was like, I don't believe any of this. I was just going for the social aspects. And so I obviously moved away from that, and now I'm not religious at all. But as bad as the institution of religion can be, there are some good things about it, and they do some positive things in the world. Granted, they do a lot of terrible things in the world too. So, I mean, again...
Just like humans in general.
Yeah, again, like it should be each individual's choice. And I don't begrudge anybody for being religious. I don't begrudge anybody for having that belief system or whatever. When I get annoyed by it is when they try to force you to change your views or try to preach to you and stuff. Like, I'm not dumb. I've been exposed to that in my life. I've made my decision. Like, I don't need you to try to convert me again. Like, it's not something I want. It's not something I'm going to do. So you're wasting your breath and you're irritating me. Like, I just don't like people that are pushy about their religion in general. But as far as in terms of like censorship and free will, like people in general should be able to do anything and everything that they want to do and can do, so long as it doesn't harm anybody else. And I mean,
completely agree.
That should be like the rule of life for everybody in general. Like, do unto others as you would do for yourself. Like, you don't want people fucking with your life, so don't fuck with other people's lives. It's really not that hard to just be a good person.
Yeah, just have just the slightest bit of empathy, and you will go a long way in this world.
All right. You have any more questions, or you want to call it there?
Yeah, I think that's good. Because, I mean, we could seriously talk about this for the next 3 hours, because there's so many different things that you could go into. Fuck, back in the 50s, they wanted Elvis to quit shaking his hips. They tried to ban that. They would only, when he was on TV, they would only show from, like, waist up.
Right.
Because
impressionable young girls, they can't handle gyrations.
Yeah, they can't. So, I mean, it can be really fucking ridiculous, but then there are dangerous things too. So, lots of shades of gray in there. Mm-hmm. Lots of shades of gray.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been at the core of the issue. There's too many things to discuss on both sides, and most rational people can see both sides of it too, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the one rule that I've said multiple times on here that I told my kids is, look, just follow this rule and you'll have a great life. Don't be a dick. If you can just live your life and think to yourself, if I do this, will other people see me as a dick? And if you can answer that as yes, then don't do that.
It's a good rule of thumb too.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. And your life will be pretty fucking good. Yeah. So just don't be a dick. And all Nazis are dicks.
Yes, they are. Punch your local Nazis. Any of them you find.
Yep, there you go.
All right. Well, let's move on from our topic. What about pickups? Have you picked up anything cool recently?
I have. I got that Nat Verd album that came in. I was also able to find a copy, finally, of the 1990 album from Scatterbrain, Here Comes Trouble. Got it on vinyl. I absolutely, positively love that. I told you to listen to Mr. Johnson and the Juice Crew. What'd you think?
It's okay. I don't think it's really for me, though.
It's such a fun song. I got that Dorman Ordeal album, Tooth and Nail, that came in. Locally here, Jesus Christ, what the guy's... the guitarist for Stone Sour, I guess, sold all his records to one of the local places here, JCD and Hobby, and I went in there, and there's a bunch of records with his name on it. But in that, he had Death Angel Act 3. I was able to pick that up. And Demolition Hammer, their first two albums, Epidemic of Violence and Tortured Existence, 3 fantastic thrash albums. There's a huge fucking sale from Nuclear Blast Records, and I bought quite a few from them.
I forgot about that.
Fuck, they had so many albums in the like $10 range. It was just super crazy. Of course, a couple of other pre-orders here and there, but that Chaos and Carnage show last night, I bought two of the Undeath albums, and of course, Too Many Damn Shirts. But I'd never actually bought that Cradle of Filth shirt that is so famous from the early 2000s. Jesus is a cunt shirt. So I had to buy one. Just,
nice.
Why not? So that's all I got.
Cool. Well, yeah, I got a lot of stuff too. I also got my Nat Verd album in. I got my Dorman Ordeal. I picked up the new Behemoth album on vinyl because it's, spoiler alert,
that's
it's
one of my
actually
pre-orders.
A solid album. I thought it was going to be good. More of the same, but it's almost a return to form. I mean, there's still like some cheesy, cringy lyrics and song titles on the album, but musically it's great. So we'll talk more about that on the next episode, I'm sure.
Honestly, the only song I And I don't really dislike it, but the weakest song on the album to me
is the title track.
Yeah. Yeah, is the title track.
We'll talk about that in more detail in the next episode. But I got that. I picked up the Dispit album. I also went to Chaos and Carnage. I went and saw Burial Oath. They did a small tour at a very small venue here in Houston. Came through with Horror Bethlehem and Rottenness. And that was a really good show. They were fantastic live. I posted some videos on social media if you want to check that out. I also picked up some albums from that Nuclear Blast sale. That was a really good sale. Lots of great stuff for like $10 or $13 range. So I got like 6 albums off that, which was great. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a lot, I think.
I bought tickets to go see Tomarum and Sidon in Kansas City on June 6th, I think it is.
Yeah, I'm going to the Sidon and Volcandra
night.
show on the 22nd. So I'm excited for that. It's at the same venue that the Burial Oath show was at. So it's very small, very intimate. It'll be cool.
Yeah. I mean, this place in Kansas City, it's called the Mini Bar, and they're not kidding because they only have 100 tickets. That's all they had. So we'll see. But the great thing for Tomarum and Sidon, guess how much my ticket was?
$12.
$13. You can't fucking beat that.
Mine was $12 for Volcandra and Sidon. So, I mean, it's nice small venues sometimes, but buy a lot of merch to help the bands out. That's the plan.
Yep.
All right. And then we're going to close out the show with an extreme submission. So this one actually came from the winner of our giveaway. We gave away the Inexorum vinyl to Brent Bailey on Instagram. So he said this is his favorite album so far this year, and it was one that neither one of us had listened to or talked about, or I wasn't even aware of it. So I figured we should cover it as an extreme submission for his sake. So it's the band Mournful Moon, and the album is called Twilight Is My Passion. It's black/gothic metal from Greece, their second full-length album since 2002. They're a 2-piece band. One of the guys does keyboards, and the other guy does everything else. Currently unsigned. I think the best for fans of I have for these guys is maybe like early Verathron. They kind of sound like.
I can see that. Yeah.
It's pretty good. I mean, if you like that rawer sort of melodic black metal, it's a really good album. So what did you think of it, Christian?
I thought it was strong. And I'm not usually a fan of that raw kind of feel, but yeah, I dug this. I'd definitely be interested in hearing more from them.
Cool. Yeah, me too.
It's a solid album. Solid.
Yeah. And if you like it, definitely check out the whole album. This one came out in March and just sort of slipped through the cracks for us. We didn't hear it. So that happens sometimes. But anyways, we're going to play a track. Again, this is Mournful Moon off the album Twilight, My Passion. And the song that we picked is called Theater Phantom. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and we will see you next time.
See ya.